Hi, I'm Steve Dave from British Car Ranch, and welcome to our shop. Behind the camera today is Christopher Day, my son, who came to work with me, and he's also the succession plan for the business. Hooray! Say hi, Christopher.
Hi, Christopher.
Ah, that's very good. Very good. Recently, we did a very first British Car Ranch live video stream on Facebook. I was quite surprised it turned out as well as it did. We're working on some of the things that we need to make it better, and we're going to deliver some more of them. But during that session, we promised you a video that could be stored and permanently accessed from now on, and that's what this is today. So, the purpose of that tech session was to share with you the checklist that we have here at British Car Ranch for checking a car, a little British car, before we start it up, after it's been stored, let's say, over the winter, or perhaps even longer than that, maybe a year or two, or longer, or still 20 years. The longer the time, the more important it is to have a checklist. So, why would you have a checklist? Well, where? That's the reason. As it sits, the acids and the corrosion and the moisture inside develop and continue even though it's not moving. So when you ask it to start up and things start moving again, you can get some pretty significant wear patterns started. So we came up with a checklist, and that's a list that we use on every car that comes in that needs to be started up after a long winter, or if it's been several years since it's been started up and towed in. So we use that checklist religiously, and it helps eliminate or minimize the amount of wear that can happen on that first startup. So the list is broken down into 3 different phases. The first phase is the easiest to do, takes the least amount of time, and also gives the most chance for that wear to still happen. The second one would be the medium size, and that one takes a little more time and a little more effort, but it does guarantee you fewer surprises when you start it up and start your motoring again. The third one's the one I like the best, because obviously that gives you the best protection for the most invested time that you've given, and the least amount of wear is going to be happening during your startup. So we found that breakdowns in little British cars give us clues before they happen. All we have to do is be keen enough to look and know where to look and see what's going on and read the red flags and take care of them before they happen. That gives us a better chance for motoring down the road freely. So we have set up these videos that you're going to be seeing in 3 different videos so that you can pick and choose which one you want to be interested in and spend your time looking at. This will be number 1. So there's some small print we need to cover first, and that is that these sessions, all of them that I do, are not intended to teach you how to do something, but they're intended to teach you what needs to be done. So you should have a professional mechanic that you have chosen to take care of your car, and he's the one, or she is the one, that can handle all of those things that need to be done. You need to know what it is to tell them to do. If you have a proactive list when you go in, you're going to get better results from whomever you choose to work on your car. It's dangerous working on these cars if you don't know exactly what you're doing, and since I'm not going to be able to be there and looking over your shoulder and giving you tips and helping you out, keeping you out of trouble, keeping you safe, we have to designate these as what to do videos. I think that covers everything we need to talk about for preliminary, so let's get started. The very first thing that we want to check is the engine oil level. Now, on this beautiful magenta TR6 that's under restoration right now and looking absolutely wonderful, the dipstick is located on the driver's side, right over here. So we're going to pull that out, have a rag to catch the dip, and we're going to check the color and the level. This one has very fresh oil in it, so it's looking excellent, and the level is very good. Now, if you have chosen to store your vehicle without changing the oil first, which I do not recommend, this would be an excellent time to change that oil and the oil filter so that you can get the best protection that you can. Now, folks are asking me constantly, what kind of oil do I use? I hear so many different things about oils, this oil, that oil, it has this, it has that in it. Well, we've done a lot of research and we take our position seriously for recommendations, so we have chosen the Collector's Choice 2050 specialty oil to use in our cars. And the reason is, our flat tappet cam engines are the same as the street rods. We share the same problem. We need ZDDP in our oil to prevent wear, excessive wear on our camshaft and lifters. The modern cars don't need ZDDP. As a matter of fact, they don't want it in there because it destroys the catalytic converter. So they've taken it out in various stages. We don't have any ground plan of how much ZDDP is in there for our engines, so we go back to a specific oil that's made just for our cars and has the right amount of detergent, the right amount of seal softener, and the right amount of ZDDP in it. This one is available from several sources. Moss Motors is one of them that's easy to get. And no, I'm not getting reimbursed for this commercial. This is just good advice. So, the next thing we're going to check is the coolant level, and we can do that right here with the radiator cap. Now, caution, anytime you're checking the cooling system, you want to make sure that the engine's cold, because this builds up under pressure and has 190, 200 degrees fluid in it, and it can burn you badly. Well, now, if we're working on a car that's been stored over the winter, it's going to be cold, isn't it? So, we're going to take the cap off, flip it over and take a look at it. And this one is brand new, and it has my wonderful double rubber seal on it that I like. So it's set to go. So we're going to check the color first, and we're looking for a nice bright green clear color so that we can see down to the fins and it's not cloudy and murky. This one is brand new, of course, and it looks great. The next thing we want to do is the level. Now, the level on this one can be right here to this ledge all the way up, because it has a coolant recovery tank for the expansion overflow to go into and be recirculated back. On some of our British cars, it doesn't have a capture tank, so we want to make sure it's about ½ an inch below that ridge so it has room to expand inside the radiator. Next thing we're going to do is kind of give an overview on leaks. We'll check around the hose connections and see if anything is developed. We're going to check along the top of the radiator at the seams and see if there's anything developed or leaking there. And if not, we can move on to our next item. The next thing we're going to check is the hydraulic fluid reservoir, and that would be on the Triumph. It has a separate reservoir for both. On some of our cars, it's got one container with both the clutch and the brake in the same one. So we will check this one by removing the cap. We're looking for the level, which is excellent on this one, and the color, which is also excellent because it's brand new. This is the color for brand new .3, .4 brake fluid that we want to see. It's light amber in color. It's also clear enough we can see to the bottom of the container, and that would be true also with the separate container. You can see down to the bottom. Once it starts deteriorating and becoming corrosive, it turns a darker and darker color until it's finally black. Black is not where we want to be. We want to catch it before it gets to that point. Brake fluid and hydraulic clutch fluid are the same thing, and they should be changed, flushed every 3 years or so. So we'll take a little peek at the clutch master cylinder. And we have the same result there, where we've got nice new fluid and it's up to the top. The next thing we'll do is take a look around the base and around the gasket surfaces, see if there's any leaks that have developed over time. This one looks clear. So we can move on to the next item we'll check. And on most of our cars we have SU carburetors like these, which have dash pots in them, which is this item here at the top. And inside is a container or a chamber for oil. That acts as our accelerator pump on an SU system. So we want to make sure on maybe a monthly basis as you're driving it, or immediately before you start it up, that you have oil in the chamber. Now, it's kind of hard to see down in there, but there's a metal ring about halfway down. We want the oil level to be up to that. Well, that's kind of subjective, hard to see. So the easy way to do it is to take the piston out like I'm holding it here, push it in, find out where your resistance is that you feel against the oil, and look how much distance we've got here. We've got 2 fingers and it meets resistance. That means it's full and nice. If I was able to meet resistance all the way down here, I would still have some oil, but it's getting very low and should be refilled. Now, how much oil do you put in there? If I get too much, is it bad? No, it's not bad. It finds its way out and lubricates the linkage by leaking out of there, so it's a good thing. You just wipe it up and keep it clean. So, I heard somebody say, what kind of oil do I use? You can use anything you want. SU makes a special oil that they sell in a small bottle for several dollars, or you can use engine oil, or you can use Marvel Mystery Oil, or you can use Wesson oil, or you can use gear oil, or you can use, well, you get the picture. You can use almost anything. Yes, it makes a difference on how the car runs, but so slightly I'm not sure you can tell. Here at the ranch, because we've got 50-year-old carburetors, we use a 90 weight oil inside the dash pots to compensate for some of that wear that has gone on. And it seems to balance out and come out just right. So the next item we're going to check on is the gasoline. Let's see if the gas in the tank has changed from burnable fuel to coagulants. And the way we do that is to come back and take the gas cap off. And all we want to do is take a little whiff of what it smells like. Do those vapors, make sure you're not smoking, please. So, do those vapors smell like nice lawnmower gasoline that's ready to go after you've tuned it up? Or does it smell like something that maybe came from the center of the earth and it should be changed now? Our ethanol gas that we buy at most of the stations nowadays can change its chemical composition within 45 to 60 days after sitting. It becomes less burnable and more caustic during that period of change. You can add a fuel stabilizer, which is an excellent idea, or you can just add more gasoline if it hasn't gone completely kaput. But if that smells really bad back there, you should drain the tank, flush the lines, and start over. Now that's obviously a job that's going to take a little more time. But you have to have something burnable for it to start. So, we are ready to move into the driver's seat. Take the ignition key and turn it to the on position, not the start, just on, and see what happens. Now on this stock Triumph TR6, it has a mechanical fuel pump, or a Bug-Eye has a mechanical fuel pump. On many of our other British cars, it's an electric fuel pump. So when you turn that key on, you're going to hear the click, click, click of the fuel pump delivering fuel up to the carburetors. That's a good sound we want to hear. It should and quit. That means it has filled the bowls and it's reached its pressure and stopped. That's the perfect way for it to act. If you have the mechanical pump, you just have to turn the crank to get that to work. So we're not ready for that yet. Next thing we're going to do is, with the key on, we're going to look at the dash and see if we've got gauge electricity going on. And then turn the headlights on and see if we've got enough battery to run the headlights. If those look like they're positive, then we are ready, almost ready to start it. The next thing I want you to do is take your foot and put it on the brake pedal and see if you've got a brake pedal. Put it on the clutch pedal and see if it feels like that clutch that you're used to. If it's died over that storage period, it'll go to the floor with no resistance on either pedal. Not a good thing. We want to fix that before we go forward. So, we're ready to start it up if all those tests have been passed. So, crank it over, use the choke, however you can to get it to start as quickly as you can. We do not want to just sit and grind on it, because all of those dry parts are wearing as you're grinding. If it doesn't start right away, you want to find out why. So let's assume that the tune-up was decent enough and it does start up right away. You want to get the idle up to 1800 RPMs very quickly and hold it there. And the reason being, I want that oil pump spinning at 1800 RPMs to get the volume and the pressure of oil up and everywhere quickly, so we've got lubrication. I'm going to let it run and warm up. What's warm up? Warm up is when the temperature gauge breaks from 0 and goes, let's say 160. Most British cars won't run worth a doggone until they're at least 160 degrees on the temperature gauge. Then you can shut it off, come outside and get down and look underneath the car and see what's going on. Are there any waterfalls of fluid coming down? Well, obviously we want to fix that before we go forward. But if it's dry and it's warmed up and we've got everything working, then let's go for a ride. I would recommend, say, 5 miles on a drive, nice and easy. Don't be race car driver. Come back into the garage, park it, look underneath again. Has anything cut loose and broken so that the waterfall of fluid has happened now? You might even want to take and go through this simple checklist again now that you've come back in the garage and see if anything has changed in that respect. So, that would conclude step 1 of our checklist. I want to thank you for hanging out with us today, and please check us out on our Facebook page or check us out on our website, britishcarranch.com. And we will be posting our second and third videos soon. Thank you.